It is race night for the iRacing Stock Car Association ButtKicker Cup Series here for the Goodies 200 from the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Hello and welcome one and all. My name is Noel Rample with Brian Britt beside me in the broadcast booth. Rob Melody once again working cameras for tonight's 200-lap presentation. Already set in qualifying with just under a minute left, and boy, there's much to talk about, most notably here, Brian, real quickly, the new package that iRacing has introduced, 670 horsepower and some slightly reduced downforce with a smaller spoiler, means we could be in for a bit of a wild ride here tonight from this half mile up in North Carolina.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you with that, considering this is going to be quite the challenge for these guys, considering they did lower the horsepower from what we're used to. So a little bit slower lap times, Nolan.
Drivers having to take it easy, sees these lap times be a little bit slower. So with all of this in mind, we'll get to that in just a moment. But for now, it is time for the national anthem here for the Goodies 200 at the North Wilkesboro Speedway.
The night time is the right time. Remember what I told all my drivers? Reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time. Drivers, start your engines!
And that was the national anthem here from the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Let's go through your starting grid for the Goodies 200 in the ISCA ButtKicker Cup Series in round number 7. It is going to be Clayton Hoffman starting on pole position with Mark Padgett beside him on the front row. Chris Pfeffer is down in third with Chris Johnson in fourth. Jeffrey Souza starts down in fifth place with Dan Shabu beside him on the third row. Kenny Powell is in seventh. RJ Root started in P8 with Dave Long and Thomas O'Hara starting in ninth and 10th here, Brian.
And Kyle LeBrie going to be starting here in 10th place. 11th place. 12th place is going to be Matthew McMeekin. 13th, Philip Rajevic. And 14th, Mark Sanchez. 15th, Don Avery. 16th, Brian Johnson. And a little bit of some confusion here with not sure what's going on here, but it looks like Brian Johnson is going to be finishing starting in 16th. Greg Wyszynski 18th, which does not make much sense. Hold on just a second. I'm sorry about that, Nolan.
I can say it's Josh Schaffner starting at 17th place with Wyszynski starting at 18th. That much is confirmed with Jeff Barnes down at 19th. Wayne Grossi is 20th. Corey Cook and Chuck Phillips round out the 22-car grid. It was only 16 cars that set qualifying times, with the bottom 6 opting not to set any times on the day. So we got set to go racing for 200 laps. As always, 3 stages on the night, with stage caution laps taking place at laps 40 and 80. With the fuel window about 118 laps here, Brian, this means that it could be 2 laps short on fuel, but if they save big under that second stage, caution at least, we could be seeing these drivers being able to make it through to the end of this race on fuel should the whole third stage go completely green.
Definitely could be a possibility for sure. I mean, considering this is a short track, I mean, I'm curious to see if this looks anything like Gateway last week on Thursday. Of course, from what I saw on Saturday's, race, it seems like those guys were able to really keep that going for sure when it comes to green flag racing. But we're seeing Clayton Hoffman starting out up front. Can't anybody take care of him? I mean, it's going to be very difficult to really challenge that guy, considering he's been having such a great run lately. What do you say, Nolan?
He has been having a bit of a solid run recently, hasn't he? I mean, he has just been on fire so far all season, and he has been regularly taking home top 10s, top 5s, looking set to take home another one here tonight. Pace car is rounding through turn 4. There are, of course, 2 pace laps, so as we get set for the final pace lap here, Brian, what do you think are some things we can expect in these first 40 laps as we get set to take the green?
Well, one thing we should really keep in mind is that, iRacing actually put an update in recently that made this 670 horsepower package, even though, was 750 before we started here. So a lot of these guys are really going to be having to scramble for setups. What kind of adjustments they need to make these cars work. Well, that's what we're going to see here tonight. Definitely going to be a hard thing to do here as the pace car dips down pit road, and Clayton Hoffman has the field in hand.
And to the green flag, Hoffman takes us down in the turn number 1. The triad driver, Mark Patchett, pushing around the outside line with Chris Pfeffer down in 3rd. How about Jeffrey Souza and Chris Johnson looking to work with each other, 4th and 5th place, and it's a top 3 breakaway. Hoffman leads the opening lap to green here as we get this Goodies 200 from North Wilkesboro underway. Kenny Powell powering through on the inside line, trying to work his way up to Jeffrey Souza. Ditch a move with a late breaking move, trying to push around the outside line of the 48 car of Chris Johnson, the G&G Mustang, under fire from DSP, while Kenny Powell continues to fight the inside line in the battle for P6.
Yeah, he's got to fight hard here at this short track. I mean, that's one good thing about this short track, though. I mean, a lot of short tracks you don't expect to be able to ride, have multiple lanes work, but North Wilkesboro is one of those tracks where you really can make that happen.
And how about this battle further in the field? Matthew McMeekin and Thomas O'Hara looking to go side by side. The 41 to the 17 looking to trade some punches here up through turns 3 and 4. Already 1/10 of the way through stage 1, showing just how time can fly in a race like this at a track like this. We did come in a little bit late, so we didn't get a chance. Oh, heads up! Contact up the road! And Labrie going around, sent sliding back straightaway, and now the caution flies. It's a parking lot on the back straightaway. Don Avery collected as well, and that checked up to 17, as well as Brian Johnson. And this all kicked off, Brian, between Labrie as well as Dave Long, who made contact right there out of turn 2.
Yeah, big contact there, going down in the grass. But I think that's the best thing for you, though, considering you go down the grass. Not much chance of guys hitting you down there.
And there you can see Labrie sliding around. You had just seen Don Avery as well kind of get into it a little bit as he exited turn number 2 and up the back straightaway. Just managed to, I think it's the 17 car just managed to get around him here. On board with Avery now, and you're going to watch this development in front of him. Not a whole lot he can go, and there's the head, and just send him sideways from there. And it was the 17 that got into him quite a bit. You see him just stopped right side of the screen. And Brian Johnson really just had to lock it down there and hope for the best that he wouldn't be run into. And he was patient. He decided to wait as we are now under caution for the first time tonight. And Don Avery currently headed up the pacing line. So he actually did go a lap, well, not quite a lap down. He is just at the tail end of the lead lap, so he will be waved around the pace car, but he can't come down to pit to get damage repaired, or he most certainly would go a lap down.
Yeah, and Clayton Hoffman out in front still. I'm sure Chris Pfeffer are going to try to, make something happen here, considering he's definitely, legacy esports, while Clayton Hoffman is still on the premier race team.
You see a very big smiling face on that 92 Toyota Camry Premier machine as well. And tell you what, it's been a good run for Clayton Hoffman. He finds himself currently in the points lead. Once again, didn't quite manage to touch on this earlier on, but he is in the points lead. 2 points up from Justin Levine, but as we discussed just last week, Levine and the rest of the front line have pulled out of full-time competition here in the ISCA, making his closest competition that of Kenny Powell, who is, well, about 14 points back at the moment. And so Hoffman's got a decent buffer that he can use to work with us only having a 22-car grid. That means if he finishes last and Powell wins the race, he's only going to have a 10-point deficit he'll have to make up, which is easily doable if you're a guy like Hoffman with 1 degree.
Well, one thing about it, though, even though Justin Levine not, involved in this race, really doesn't matter, considering, we got Kyle Labrie. He's still, one of those frontline guys, right?
Kyle Labrie is one of those frontline drivers, yes, so I have to see if he's going to be one of the few that continues to race full time as we go back. Green flag racing. Chris Pfeffer looking to fight this one outside line in his legacy Toyota Camry, and this time Hoffman has not gotten away. Pfeffer looking to take the battle to the race leaders through turns 3 and 4, but it's not going to happen. Out of turn number 4, Hoffman's clear. Here goes Pfeffer with the crossover down the hill into turn number 1, and the 84 car, I think, will just manage to break his nose ahead. Hoffman looking to pinch him in, and it is a heads-up grudge match between these two drivers on 2 different teams. Down in the turn number 3 and 4 as they crest over the hill. Pfeffer still has the nose ahead, and this time he will lead at the stripe.
Yeah, definitely still fighting back here is the 0-2 fighting with just battling back and forth for this 3rd and 4th place.
So far, this battle for the lead you see just up the road still raging on as Chris Johnson looking to get into it a bit more here with one RJ Root. Hoffman's pulled clear in the battle for the race lead, but this one still going to be raging on for some time. RJ Root trying to fight the outside line in his edge setup shop. Number 8 Mustang. Johnson loose on the bottom in the Southern Spiral Pipe 48. And Chris Johnson, though, will find a hole, I think, just to tuck in line. So will RJ Root. Now Dan Shamoon of the DSP Racing Mustang looking to take the challenge to the number 48 car, and Chris Johnson going to be able to hold on to that one nicely. Dan Shamoon has got no leverage and no momentum on the top side to hold for now. As we single file things back out.
I've been so impressed with Kenny Powell lately, just seeing that, he submitted wins in the Premier Racing Setup Shop. So we've seen him on Facebook talking about how he's won 3K strength of field wins, and no wonder he's up in the top 5, doing very well right now, chasing down Jeffrey Souza right now, though.
Oh, and how about Kenny Powell getting loose out of turn number 2, sliding to the inside line. That opens up the door for Root to try to punch one around the outside line, but not going to quite work out for RJ Root. And you see just up the road, Jeffrey Souza looking to potentially have a go up the inside of Mark Padgett. I think Padgett will be trying to keep one Jeffrey Souza at bay. This is the battle for 3rd place. To find put his spot, and now Padgett gets loose out of turn number 2, and that'll send him sliding the inside line. So Souza takes over 3rd. Padgett is going to hold on to 4th for the time being. In a fight now with Kenny Powell up the hill. Once again, it's uphill down the backstretch. You crest over the rise, and then back downhill on the front straightaway, which makes turn 1 an incredibly sketchy entry, especially with this brand new lower downforce package. And so far, the 0-2 machine of Mark Padgett doing a good job on just holding his own. Powell will clear around the high side. RJ Root's trying to follow through, but looks like Powell might be able to just take that 4th spot away as we hit halfway in stage 1.
Yeah, definitely a very interesting package here, considering when these guys first came to North Wilkesboro, it was 750 horsepower. They lowered it to 670. So definitely a lot of a lot of things to get used to here when you say it over.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have a brand new package on a track that we don't tend to go to very often. All of that combined with just 24 hours over that, about 36 total hours of prep that these guys can possibly do on this car. And that'd be if they were practicing straight. Means that it really kind of throws a whole bit of a toss-up up into the air as well. But so far, these guys have been dealing with that pressure nicely. They've been taking it easy, right? They have not been throwing moves that don't need to be made. They're just taking it easy, running single file where they can, occasionally making moves where they can. As you saw Dan Shamoon lunge on the inside of Root, that pass got clear. How about Brian Johnson battling it out with the 32 of Jeff Barnes in the battle for 15th place, and Brian Johnson will pull clear as well.
There has been a ton of battling out there, even though this is a short track. These guys are acting like it is a super speedway. The way they're battling back and forth, as we see, looks like someone's trying to make a pass here for 17th place. Looks like Mark Sanchez.
Mark Sanchez trying to slowly make up some ground. He's got Kyle Labrie just in front of him that he's going to have to worry about as well. And Labrie now running the DSP colors as well. So Sanchez will have to try to find his way around his Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. Well, Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 as not going to catch up to one Labrie, though, who is a lap down, by the way. Instead, he'll fall potentially victim to Thomas O'Hara in the battle for P17. And O'Hara in the 17 Triad Camry is going to punch his way through. Of course, O'Hara collected in the first crash on the day, and now just trying to see if he can maybe just regain some lost time and fix damage under the stage caution coming on up here in just 13 laps.
Yeah, for sure. And person you're going to really like that stage caution, got to say, maybe not even like that stage caution, is going to be Clayton Hoffman out to 1 point, almost 2/10 seconds. 1.2 seconds. What a lead to build for yourself there for Clayton Hoffman. This has been what a season, I should say, for Clayton Hoffman.
Looking a little bit further up the road to Dave Long, who was in a battle at the moment with Matthew McMeekin for 9th. That battle has simmered off, and it's allowed Wachinski to try to look up the inside of McMeekin for the 9th position with 11 laps to go in stage number 1. Wachinski pushing deep into turns 1 and 2.
Close. That was almost contact there.
And caution will fly from North Wilkesboro. Some trouble somewhere on the racetrack. Trying to get an idea of where that was. It was Don Avery and his number 11 Toyota Camry that got sent around out of turn 4 onto the front straightaway. And going to see if we can't get a replay for you now on this one. It just let through. Right there, you saw it just by himself. I wonder, actually, if he clipped the transition. There's a very slight transition. It's not even painted, though, and it was that. Just clipped the apron. Oh, so lucky, Brian, to avoid that pit wall.
Yeah, 100%. He could have easily gotten a lot of contact there with the inside wall. Luckily, he did not have that. I'm watching it right now. Wow, so close to hitting that wall. He actually did hit the wall, but could have been worse, so I would say. But he did actually end up taking a pit road tow there, so definitely not going to help him out very much.
So under the caution period, and it will be just 32. Check that, 8 laps remaining here in stage number 1. Why don't we take a very brief commercial break if we can? We'll be back in just a moment. 1 lap to green. Apologies for the minor technical difficulties. Turns out we didn't have anything exactly lined up. I'll take the blame for that one as pace car rounded the back straightaway now. Clayton Hoffman, your pole sitter, with Pfeffer second, Souza third, Powell fourth, Root in fifth. Mark Patchett rounding out the top 6, coming around through turns 3 and 4. It'll be 5-lap dash to end stage number 1. Pace car is down and in, and Hoffman will take us back to the green flag.
And often, what a great start there for sure. As they fight side by side. Chris Pfeffer able to, get right behind Clayton Hoffman as
And with 4 laps to go, Pfeffer still looking to hunt the inside line as Souza tries to hold off a charging Powell, and RJ Root just behind. Looks like he'll just be able to pull clear. 3 to go this time by, and Chris Pfeffer still looking to hunt down Clayton Hoffman, but time is rapidly running out. Coming around through 3 and 4, Brian Johnson going side by side with Josh Schaffner, and pit road is now closed. 2 laps to go here in stage number 1 of 3 on the day. Coming to the close of lap number 40, and it'll be lap 80 for the end of stage number 2. Pfeffer still trying to keep Souza at bay while trying to also run down Clayton Hoffman, but with half a second now between them, I don't think anybody's got anything to challenge that number 92 machine, which has just been on fire so far all race long. In the final lap of the opening stage, Hoffman will come around, and the caution flies. Hoffman will take the win early, and a crash on the back straightaway involving Schaffner, Long, Bowachinski, the big losers. He was sideways, and there was actually a couple of different incidents in there because Schaffner... Wachinski got into Dave Long, and that's how Wachinski spinning around midway down the backstretch, as well as Dave Long getting spun on early. Bit of a hip check right there, and, well, that's all she wrote. And Wayne Grossi just barely squeaked through all of that. Schaffner got a big piece, though. Well, overall, a very, very thrilling opening stage of this race. Yellow flag pit stops are underway at the moment. So we'll take a quick step away, and we'll be back in a moment.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com, and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
And we are back for the Goodies 200 for the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Wayne Grossi did not, I believe, pit under the stage caution. He is in the same boat as the likes of Chris Johnson and Corey Cook, who all stayed out because they pitted under the caution period that took place in the middle of stage number 1. We are 2 to green now, so we don't have time to talk your stage 1 winner, unfortunately. So instead, we could talk potential strategies coming on and up here, particularly for those top 3. What do you think was kind of going through their heads there, Brian? Because they didn't have a shot on getting stage points because of that, and they might be under some serious fire for the likes of Cook and Hoffman behind at the start of stage 2. And it looks like we might have lost Brian Britt for the time being. So I'll do good to keep you guys entertained for the time being. 1 lap to green this time by Grossi with Johnson, Cook, Hoffman, and Souza for your top 5 for the time being. Don Avery and Kyle Avery still working to catch the field deeper in the field. We're double file, though, ready to get stage 2 underway. Green flags back in the air, and how about that for a launch from Chris Johnson? Outside line, the 48 car has it into turn number 1, already clear of Wayne Grossi, who's under fire from Clayton Hoffman, trying to fight the outside line. Hoffman gets into the outside wall, down the back straightaway, manages to just keep it pointed forward in the right direction. Corey Cook, RJ Root going with it, and Souza, Paget, Powell, Shamoon, all working big time in the background to try to stay with your top grouping. Chris Johnson clear by a country mile, and it is going to be a fierce run for the likes of Hoffman to try to run him down as Wayne Grossi misses the turn 3 apex, and that allows Hoffman to stick one up the inside, down the front straightaway and into turn number 1. Stage 2 coming to the close at lap number 40. And goodness knows it is going to be one heck of a battle coming on up. For everybody watching along at home, you're watching the Goodies 200, the iRacing Stock Car Association round number 7 of the ButtKicker Cup Series in the first season of 2022 here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Chris Johnson, you talk about clear by country mile, how about a full second? That's as far away as anybody's gotten so far for the lead all day long. It's Grossi. You saw try to hunt the inside of Corey Cook, wasn't able to get there though. And in the mid-pack, the side-by-side battle still raging on. Kenny Powell and Jeffrey Souza looking tight together with Dan Shamoon just tucked in behind. And even further back, Brian Johnson now in a fight with Kyle Labrie, who has since gotten his lap back, so the DSP driver is now back up and in fighting contention. No rear bumper, but the spoiler was very small anyway, so it's not like he's losing a whole lot of aerodynamic downforce on the back end of that number 9 DSP Mustang. And Sanchez almost getting into the outside wall. He had to back off to avoid knocking it down, or at least attempting to knock it down. Doubt he would have much success in that department. Up the road, Wayne Grossi looking for the inside of Corey Cook in the battle for 4th. Corey Cook continues to try to work his way through, and it's going to be a bit of a tough run at the moment for Grossi to find his way through. That is one thing about North Wilkesboro Speedway. It's far from the easiest short track to pass on. You really have to set your opponents up, or at the very least, hope that they make some kind of mistake. You can see Souza trying to fight the outside line. Dan Shamoon looking to squeeze him in, though, not wanting to give the Souza Media Triad Mustang a single inch down in the turns 1 and 2. Dan Shamoon also trying to make him some time as Kenny Powell bobbles in the background, and that will allow both Pfeffer and McBeacon to find his way through. Now, Chris Pfeffer had a bad run through his pit stops under the stage caution. He now finds himself 1 lap down, but good news for him, the next driver back from him is another lap down, so he is in the lucky dog seat. So 1 more caution, and he's going to get at least 1 more. He's going to find himself back up in race contention. He was up there fighting for the likes of a stage 1 victory. Could be a solid run for Pfeffer going forward. McBeacon trying to keep him at bay, while up front, Grossi and Dan Shamoon going side by side, but Grossi's going to lose out time on the inside. The outside is starting to really get some serious speed behind it, and that is allowing guys like Jeffrey Souza to get such a massive run, and guys like Wayne Grossi that more rely on the inside line are starting to drop back. So Matthew McMeekin looking to pull the high side with Chris Pfeffer in the mix as well. Pfeffer still looking to work the high side. Still one lap down and trying to just cut his way through lean lap traffic. This is bound to make somebody angry at some point or another. Still trying to tuck in line. I can guarantee you none of these guys in the lead lap are going to be willing to give Chris Pfeffer a single inch. Single file out for the time being. Now halfway already through stage number 2. Just past that. Running order looks like to be Chris Johnson, Clayton Hoffman, RJ Root, Corey Cook, Dan Shaboon, Mark Paget, Souza, McMeekin, Powell, and Labrie for the top 10. Dan Shaboon in a bit of a fight at the moment with Corey Cook. That was for 4th place. Dan Shaboon poking his way further up into the top 5. And Paget going to take up a top 5 spot as Corey Cook starts to lose time. Now with damage on the left-hand side, I'm wondering he must have clapped the wall somewhere. And that is clearly hurting the handling on that RCR Graphics Chevrolet as Jeffrey Souza now looks to take the inside line away. And he'll pick up P6. And you still see Corey Cook starting to slide further and further back as McMeekin worked his way through. Now it's Kenny Powell's turn. Labrie right on the cusp of this as well. Now I think it is worth noting that Corey Cook is one of those guys that didn't pit under the last stage caution. So I was going to say potentially that might have something to do with why he started to slow up here, because the gap to the race lead of Chris Johnson is starting to close in as well. That gap was at one point over a second. It's down to just 0.3 now. Looking a bit further up the road to the likes of RJ Root, Clayton Hoffman, and Chris Johnson battling it out for the podium positions at the moment, with coming to 10 laps to go in stage number 2. Chris Johnson going to be under some heavy fire. Clayton Hoffman won the opening stage, trying to go back to back. Hoffman is a driver who is just so good on the short tracks, borderline unmatched. I'd imagine just trying to take it nice and slow for the time being. Riding on board with the number 92 Toyota Camry, trying to chase down Chris Johnson. That 48 car going to be under some heavy fire now. They do have Thomas O'Hara up the road, and lap traffic on a short track is one of the most terrifying things because you never quite know what you're going to get. Not to mention you can also just catch it so quickly. Pushing off the corner, both drivers have their exits compromised as Hopper continues to try to close on in. 6 laps to go this next time by. But RJ Root is just as in contention for a stage win as Clayton Hoffman is. So Hoffman has got to watch his back here because RJ Root in the Edge setup shop Mustang has been really keeping with the Camry. And this time looking for the outside line. RJ Root gonna go on the defensive here, but Hoffman cuts him off out of turn number 2, and that neutralizes the run that Root had. That's not gonna stop it though from trying it again, but pushes too deep through turn 3, so he ends up only losing time as a result of his effort. 4 laps left to go in stage number 2 in the Goodies 200 from the North Wilkesboro Speedway in round 7 of the ISCA ButtKicker Cup Series. Make that now 3 laps to go. At this point, a caution now would end the stage, and that is what happened at the end of stage number 1, right? You had Don Avery spin himself around. And now pit road closes with 2 laps to go in stage number 2. We'll make that the final lap now, and Hoffman is close enough. He is within striking distance. Does he go for the bump and run to get one more stage win? Think about maybe trying to make a lunge into 3. Not gonna get there, though. And it will be Chris Johnson to win stage number 2 from North Wilkesboro. And as the caution flag flies, we'll take one more quick step away and be back in a moment.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at TheButtKicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
About to go green for stage number 3. Now this is the crucial factor here for the folks watching at home. Estimated 118 laps on a fuel run and exactly 118 laps to go in this race when we take the green flag. So the potential for a race that goes straight to the end of a fuel run is certainly high. Green flag is back out and we're underway from North Wilkesboro. Hoppin's gotten away well from RJ Root with Chris Johnson just behind. Dan Shamoon falling back a little bit as Mark Paget going to be fighting now for the 4th position with the number 55 DSP Mustang. But the Triad machine is going to pull around the outside line, and Mark Paget is going to find himself up in 4th place. Jeffrey Souza looking to fight for a top 5 as well. Getting into a bit of a scrap at the moment with the Fastenal number 41, Matthew McMeekin. Souza still going to be fighting this one out here with McMeekin for some time, I'd imagine, for the time being. Now just going to single file it out, and just in behind, Kyle Labrie almost gets into the outside wall. Has to check up as Corey Cook was fighting it out with him for the battle for 8th. Now, unfortunately for Chris Pfeffer, O'Hara had gone lap down under the stage 2 caution, so Pfeffer still 1 lap down and now has to once again chop his way back through the field just to try to take that lap back. Souza again all out of shape, into the grass, heads up, watch out for the number 14 Mustang. Now going to be 3 wide up in the turn, numbers 3 and 4 with Cook and Labrie up top. What a save though from Jeffrey Souza. Broke sideways out of the corner, hopped over the access road, and had to scramble to save that car. Entering turn number 3. Could have been a complete disaster, but Souza did a fine job to hold on to that machine and keep it underneath him. And now contact between Cooks as Labrie at the track, and now Labrie all out of shape. Oh, look out, Corey Cook hard into the wall, gets into Pfeffer as well, and the caution flag flies. Jeff Barnes gets into as well, and Brian Johnson has damage. Big wreck on the back straightaway with Corey Cook getting the worst of it from his own mistake. Broke loose on entry to turn number 1. That shot him up into Kyle Labrie, and then when he hit the outside wall, he struck at the worst possible place. Just an access road, or like a little gap in the wall where the wall kind of juts outwards a little bit to allow safety vehicles in, and that sent him skyward when he got hit by both Pfeffer as well as Kyle Labrie. And poor Jeff Barnes just getting to the thick of it along with Brian Johnson. That puts us under caution once again. So we'll take one more brief break, and we'll be back once again with the next restart.
At Trader Joe's, we do things a little differently, and our customers hold us to a very high standard. This is Dan Bain of Trader Joe's. We work hard to live up to the high standard you've come to expect of us. We travel the world to bring you unique, exciting, exotic products, as well as the basics like milk, eggs, and butter, all at the very best prices every day. We also believe that a satisfying shopping experience is about more than just good products. We want you to enjoy shopping at Trader Joe's. The upbeat crew members, the samples of wonderful foods served up by our great demo crew, so you'll come back often and bring your family and friends too. And how's this for unique? We're so confident that you'll be happy with the products you find at Trader Joe's, we even have a distinctive guarantee. We've tried it and we liked it, but if you don't, just bring it back for a full refund. Thanks for listening.
Well, under that caution period, a good number of drivers came down. Those drivers included Souza, Labrie, Sanchez, O'Hara, Johnson, Barnes, Phillips, Wachinski, and Avery. Coming on down, they are guaranteed safe to the end on fuel. I believe, though, everybody else in this field is going to be good as well. They also took tires under that last caution flag. Pace car is down and in. And once again, Hoffman takes us back to the green flag. Mark Padgett duking it out with Dan Shamoon once again for P4 into turn number 3. A missed apex from Padgett gives advantage Shamoon, and he'll take the 4th position away down to the turn number 1. Padgett's going to try to fight the outside line, but try as he might, he is not going to get. Well, maybe it will. Shamoon checks up, and that forces Padgett to scramble to the inside line. Dan Shamoon just having to scramble. Good heads-up driving from Mark Padgett to not just plow through Shamoon. That could have been a lot worse than it ended up being. Good save from both drivers. Bit of damage on the back of Dan Shamoon now in the left rear, and a bit of a ding on the right front of Mark Padgett. But hey, other than that, this isn't a track where that type of damage is going to matter too much. So it's more like a no harm, no foul type of deal. Oh, and now Mark Padgett's going to go around. Will this be a caution flag? It will not. Another great save. And Mark Padgett just getting it all sorts of wrong through 4. Powell having to scramble to avoid him. No caution. We are going to keep this one green. Clayton Hoffman under fire by RJ Root for the race lead up the road, as we are past halfway. Clayton Hoffman going to have to keep RJ Root at bay for the time being. Root's not a driver that's going to go away anytime soon. He's going to be right on Clayton Hoffman to the bitter end if he has to be. Further in the back, Thomas O'Hara in a bit of a fight with Brian Johnson as well for the 11th position, the first spot outside of the top 10, right behind Kyle Labrie and Josh Schoffer. You got all 4 of those cars under a bit of a blanket at the moment, as O'Hara will look for the inside line on Kyle Labrie. Brian Johnson, I think, just waiting around to the wings so far, but with how much damage O'Hara has, it's very difficult for O'Hara to actually be able to properly make up any kind of space. I think he's really going to have to just wait for the likes of Labrie and Schoffer to make mistakes in front of him before he's going to be able to find a way through. O'Hara's going to try to find the inside this time on Kyle Labrie, and that little lunge scares Labrie wide. And the 17 car, or the 117 car, I should say, is going to find the inside line. Maybe not quite. Bit of a bobble at the apex of turn 2 is going to have to cause it to back off. Labrie still giving him space to work with, though. But that might just be so we can maximize the momentum of these runs off of the corners. But O'Hara, with the shorter line, is still going to try to power through on the bottom side. It's not an easy time, though, trying to catch up to the number 9. Here comes Brian Johnson and Mark Padgett, both fighting for the outside line. And it looks like O'Hara could find himself being swamped and freight trained for the inside line. He's going to be exactly that. So Padgett and Brian Johnson up to 11th and 12th. now Brian Johnson will have a look up the inside of Kyle Labrie in turn, up into turn numbers 3 and 4. Kyle Labrie trying to follow through. Really looking to pinch the number 9 car up towards that outside wall. This has been great racing so far from what we've been seeing for the Goodies 200. Labrie not being given an inch, but that's not going to stop him from trying to fight the long way around the outside of turns 3 and 4. Another little bit of a bobble there from Kyle Labrie will send him out wide, as I think that'll be it for that battle. Brian Johnson's up into the top 10. Josh Schaffner looking to be the next driver on Brian Johnson's side for the time being, and looks like Johnson will be looking to make quick work of the Premier Racing Setup Shop's driver, and Schaffner not even going to try to fight that one out. Just lets Johnson and Padgett breeze through. That'll put Mark Padgett now up into the top 10, with Brian Johnson moving up to P9. While up in front, R.J. Root and Clayton Hoffman continue to scrap away in the battle for the race lead. Still no change in positioning, but R.J. Root has been really hanging on to the back end of Clayton Hoffman thus far. We haven't had a chance to do it yet, so we're going to take a quick bit of a midway ButtKicker race spray. We'll run through the entire running order in this field. Clayton Hoffman is your current race leader, with R.J. Root sitting in second. Chris Johnson rounds out the podium drivers, with Dan Shamoon down in fourth. Kenny Powell is just behind him in the 5th position, with Jeffrey Souza in 6th. How about Matthew McMeekin in 7th place? Wayne Grossi, +8 for him. To start at 20th place, he is now in the 8th position. Brian Johnson, Mark Padgett rounded out the top 10. Josh Schaffner led both of them through. He's in 11th place. Thomas O'Hara fighting it out with Kyle Labrie at the moment, currently sitting 12th with Labrie in 13th. That might not be for long, though, as Mark Sanchez in 14th place trying to find his way through. Chuck Phillips is just behind all of them in 15th place. Jeff Barnes, the last car on the lead lap, is down in 16th. Don Avery and Greg Wyszynski are both 3 laps down to 17th and 18th. From there, Pfeffer, Cook, Long, and Radojcic all laps down in this race. That will end your ButtKicker midway race break. ButtKicker, feel what you've been missing, and if you feel like you've been missing something, you can go and get 20% off on all ButtKicker products at thebuttkicker.com by using the promo code ISCA20. That's ISCA20 for 20% off on all products at thebuttkicker.com. R.J. Root's done waiting around, and he's looking to charge for the race lead up the inside of Clayton Hoffman. And the premier driver gonna have to try to back up everything. I said, oh, look out! Oh, no! It's all gone wrong for R.J. Root, who slams the inside wall out of turn 4 down the front straightaway. And just like that, the battle for the lead is brought to a crashing end. Just too aggressive on the throttle pedal. And it was, as Brian mentioned earlier tonight, throttle control is going to be everything with this new 670 horsepower package with the smaller spoiler. And it just bit R.J. Root big time. You now look up to Dan Shamoon and Kenny Powell in the battle for 3rd place, with Shamoon working the high side and the DSP Mustang. No caution for that incident, by the way. Kenny Powell in the G&G Camry on the inside, still looking to charge through and hold on to a podium position. But Powell will finally win out in that battle, and Jeffrey Souza now looks to capitalize as Dan Shamoon going to slip back into the clutches of R.J. Root, who no doubt is going to be fighting aggressively to try to regain lost time. Ganchaboon's starting to struggle on those older tires. Starting to fall back to RJ Root here, I'd imagine, for the time being. And that is why we're seeing some of Shaboon's pace starting to drop off. He was among a few of the drivers that did not pit under the last round of stops. Souza did stop, though, and he's just punched his ticket through into third place from Kenny Powell. 70 laps remaining from North Wilkesboro. Only 5 cautions so far on the day. Exactly the type of race you want to see. A far cry from what we had last week at the Worldwide Technology Raceway, but something that none of these drivers are going to be complaining about is the racing tonight has been nothing but the best that we have seen so far in short track racing on the season. And RJ Root coming into pit road. Looks like the number 8 car has had enough coming down pit lane. Now, I think this is one of the really big things, right? I mean, how far are you willing to push the car? You can go to the end on fuel, but do you want to go to the end on tires? Now, is RJ Root retiring, or does he think he can gain more on a fresh set of rubber? He is going to be taking tires, it would seem. I would imagine maybe filling up a bit of gas as well, just to be extra sure. Already revving up the motor, so RJ Root wants to go, go, go. Green flag pit stops looking to get underway here in North Wilkesboro. And now you have to be careful. That exits right onto the racing line, but Wayne Grossi manages to check up in time to allow him to get into line. Kyle Labrie starting to go at it with Mark Sanchez just behind. You see them side by side for the time being. As Chris Pfeffer has just thrown in the towel. There's Kyle Labrie. Still working for the inside of Sanchez, but opts against it, and that could put him under fire from Don Avery, who, by the way, is 3 laps down. Chuck Phillips has had a bit of a problem. The number 992, very, very slow down the back straightaway. Unaware exactly what the issue was. He was just trying to let some traffic through as he is back up to speed now. Bit of an interesting moment there then for the 992 machine of Phillips, and he's unmarked Camaro. RJ Root, as a result of his pit stop, has gone 1 lap down. Trying to regain that lap now. He is running the laps around the mid-18 second range, mid to high 18s. Hoffman, high 19s. So he is about a second of a lap quicker every lap consistently. But his problem at the moment is being held up by the lead lap traffic, and I don't think he'll have enough time to take all of that back by the time we get around to the end of this race, especially when his own tire wear once again starts to kick in. But still 60 laps remaining. Looking up front to Clayton Hoffman for a brief moment. Your current race leader now clear by 1.1 seconds, the largest the gap has been so far all night long. That's back to Chris Johnson. Jeffrey Souza, though, has been making up some serious gains. He is down in the triad number 14 Mustang, and he's been having a great run so far tonight. Been a bit up and down so far within the top 10, but overall he is on the up and up. Highest position so far in the day has been 3rd, and he's been holding on to it nicely. He was one of the drivers that pitted under the last caution flag. And in fact, he is the highest of those drivers that pitted under that caution flag, and does have Kenny Powell right behind it, though, that is starting to apply a little bit of pressure to the back end of the Souza Media triad driver of Jeffrey Souza. Coming from behind, there's RJ Root. Enter stage right, and he's looking to exit stage left about as quickly as possible. RJ Root on the charge on the fresh tires up the inside of Kenny Powell, still trying to regain his lost lap from earlier when he came down pit road. And you can see just how much more speed he can carry through the middle of these corners. That's where he's making up all of his time, is definitely in those corners and on the brakes. With 50 laps still left to go in the Goodies 200, want to take a quick step away, and we'll be back with more in the final quarter of this race.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. ButtKicker.com, and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
"50 laps remaining, coming to 49 this time by RJ Root, still looking to charge and see if he can make up any more time. The battle for third place still has not gone anywhere. That's starting to close up to the battle for second place now. Hoffman's in the middle of lap traffic. There's a lot going on the racetrack at the time being. There's not a whole lot when it comes to actual position battles, shall I say. You're currently watching RJ Root, who's just caught up to Mark Sanchez, who's in a battle with Kyle Labrie and Thomas O'Hara for the final spot inside the top 10. That is O'Hara, 2 cars up the road. Now make that 3 cars up the road. The very white 117 Triumph machine. And in front of him is Wayne Grossi in 9th place. Now, crucially, RJ Root is back on the lead lap now and is actually starting to make up some serious gains. So these are for position battles now. RJ Root now past Thomas O'Hara for 10th. Now working his way up into P9. Can he catch Clayton Hoffman by the end? Hoffman still running about half a second a lap slower, so the possibility is very much there. Root's just got to step on and then hope that he could get there in time. How about Brian Johnson looking to potentially have a bit of a run himself? He is now charging on the outside line. If I'm not mistaken, that is because Brian Johnson came down under our commercial break, and now he is one of the drivers on fresh tires, but getting cut off by Wayne Grossi. And if the speed from RJ Root is anything to contend by, Brian Johnson still has time to potentially take his lap back and be a contender for a race win by the end of this one. Clayton Hoffman continues to hold on to the race lead. You saw the gap right there, about 1.7 seconds clear. Chris Johnson is in a bit of a fight with lap traffic, though, for the time being, which is why he's losing some considerable time. Hoffman looking to put this battle with Kyle Labrie, Mark Sanchez, and Thomas O'Hara along with Grassi down a lap now. Checking in on RJ Root's location. He is on the opposite end of the racetrack for the time being and still trying to close up into the gap and still half a second a lap quicker than Clayton Hoffman. So that gap is steadily closing. The gap is just 10.8 seconds away, and you can see RJ Root P8 on the timing boards on the left-hand side of your screen starting to close on up to Clayton Hoffman up in front. And Brian Johnson, 1 lap down, also trying to regain lost time after he came down pit road. And you can actually see right behind RJ Root now. These are the only 2 drivers so far that have come on down for fresh tires on this long, long run. RJ Root decides he doesn't want to waste time battling it out with Brian Johnson, so he moves up and allows Brian Johnson through. That cost RJ Root about a few tenths, though. Jeff Barnes has called. He is pitting in this time. The number 32 Triad machine coming to pit road. Trouble on pit road. Don Avery has gone around. Right at the end of the shot, Don Avery's actually been spun around in pit road. What on earth has happened here for the number 11 car? No caution because it wasn't pit road. We'll stay green. But if we could get a look back at that one, I would love to know what the heck happened to Don Avery. I wonder, we talked about it earlier, there is a bit of a transitioning there that might catch guys off guard. I wonder maybe when he was just getting it on the brakes. Looks like that was exactly what happened. Just got on the brakes and spun the back end around. He's now out of pit road and coming back into pit road. So problems for Don Avery on his latest pit stop. And this time, oh, nearly spins again and they're in pit road, but he keeps it together this time around. RJ Root now within 10 seconds of the lead, about to be within 9 seconds. It is now within 9 seconds of the race lead. Hoffman still losing significant time. And RJ Root, his pace has started to drop off somewhat. It's down to just 0.3 faster than the race lead, but crucially still faster as Wayne Grassi comes in this time by. So while drivers can make it on fuel, it seems to me like a lot of drivers are going to prefer to come in on tires instead. One of the things you have to consider was like, yes, you can technically make it on fuel, but you can get more, you can gain more time and finish all these laps quicker if you come on down for tires. It's worth losing about the 20 seconds or so because you can make that all up later in the run. I mean, these tires do fall away quite significantly as a result of this newest build. So just to update your running order for the time being, it is Hoffman, Johnson, Powell, Souza, Shamoon, McMeekin, Padgett, Root, Schaffner. Those are the cars on the lead lap. Then you have O'Hara, who's a lap down on just pace alone. Same with Sanchez and Labrie. Brian Johnson did pit, and he's a lap down. Grassi is pitted. He's now 2 down. Same story with Jeff Barnes. Wachinski 4 down. Phillips is 7. Don Avery is 8. Cars that have DNF so far today are Pfeffer, Cook, Long, and Radojic. 76, 77, 112, and 155 laps ago, respectively. Now, this is a bit of a hornet's nest here. Kenny Powell is trying to pressure Chris Johnson, his teammate, but the battle for 10th is just in front of them. Mark Sanchez sends Thomas O'Hara into turns 1 and 2. That only sends Sanchez wide, and that's going to allow both 3rd and 2nd place through. It means that somewhere along the line, Kenny Powell must have gotten past Jeffrey Souza. I wonder if he got held up by lap traffic. Now, I don't think these two drivers are going to battle it out too hard amongst themselves, seeing as how they are teammates. They're probably just going to try to work together on trying to keep this race as clean as possible in front of them. Maybe they'll be fighting out a little bit harder, though, as we get closer and closer to ending this race off. We are now going to be within the last 25 laps of the race, and now Powell's up the inside of Chris Johnson. So just as I say that, the G&G drivers maybe eat my words as Powell's G&G Toyota's going to breeze past the Southern Spiral Pipe Mustang of Chris Johnson. Brian Johnson did a bit of a moment here trying to keep Wayne Grossi at bay, but of course being on different laps, there's no point in really holding up a car that's that much faster than you, so Brian Johnson will allow Wayne Grossi through. Thomas O'Hara trying to see if he can potentially make something up here with one Dan Shamoon just in behind. Now Dan Shamoon has fallen back to 5th place, but is still looking to close on in. And speaking of closing on in, one driver that has stopped closing is that of RJ Root, who has actually lost a bit of ground recently. The gap's still hovering around 9.2, 9.3 seconds. I'm going to make that 8.3 now, but hasn't really been gaining all too much for the time being. So you have to wonder if maybe RJ Root's tires have finally kicked in and the advantage is gone. If he's got anything, he's going to have to make it quicker. There's just 20 laps to go, so he realistically needs to be about half a second quicker every lap if he wants to take that lead away. And right now, that isn't happening. Kenny Powell, still in 2nd place, now has to worry about Wayne Grossi, and calling it over the radio right there. Go ahead, Wayne. So Wayne Grossi going to go ahead, take up yet another position to be one step closer to getting one lap back, which would put him still one down. And so far, since that early caution in stage 2, in stage 3, excuse me, this 3rd stage has gone completely green. And the way the trend is looking, it looks like that's going to get set to continue all the way through to the checkered flag. This is the time in the race when everybody's kind of just running by themselves. Nobody's looking to pressure anybody too much. There are still a few battles that aren't terribly close, but they are battles nonetheless. We've got Jeffrey Souza v. Dan Shamoon for 4th and 5th place. There's McMeekin and Paget in the battle for 7th and 8th so far. That is actually getting a bit close. Why don't we tune into the battle for 7th place for the time being? Mark Patch is in the 0-2. You can see one Matthew McMeekin in the Fastenal number 41 car just up the road. They're both trying to get around the likes of Kyle Labrie. Lapped traffic. Oh, and pushed over there for McMeekin. That's going to scare Paget way wide through the corner. I think what Paget's trying to do here is he's trying to push this car out wide on the entry so he can be able to diamond it in on corner exit to try to get a run of McMeekin. But when you're in the middle of lap traffic like this, well, definitely not now. I was going to say it's probably not going to happen, but definitely not if you do it like that. Mark Paget getting way loose out of turn number 2, and that is going to cause him to start to stumble a bit. Under 10 laps remaining now for race leader Clayton Hoffman, who is now 2 seconds clear. RJ Root, 7.5 seconds back on the fresher rubber, but not closing in nearly enough to take that win. It was a gamble that he tried and hasn't necessarily worked out to the greatest for him. He's really about where he was when he started the strategy in the first place. As the laps continue to very much slowly but surely tick away, Hoffman's victory looks more and more certain. Now, Hoffman, how many times have we seen this man just absolutely dominate short track races like this? He did not win stage number 2, but he certainly won stage 1 and started on pole position. And with 5 laps to go, is leading by about 1.8 seconds. It's been a stellar run for that number 92 machine, who all he's got to do now is just really coast it home and not get into too much trouble with lap traffic like Josh Schoffer right in front of him. Just 3 laps to go in the Goody's 200, and this is right now Hoffman's race to lose. 1.7 seconds back to Kenny Powell. Only 8 cars left on the lead lap. Once again, Hoffman shows why he is the short track king, and with Frontline out of competition, remains the driver to beat in the iRacing Stock Car Association. Starting the final lap now. Clayton Hoffman qualified on pole by just over 100th faster than Mark Padgett. Won the opening stage, was runner-up in stage 2, but coming around 3 and 4 can now declare himself the race winner. Clayton Hoffman wins the Goody's Dash 200 from North Wilkesboro. An amazing race overall for the likes of Clayton Hoffman. And with yet another barn burner of a race in the books, let's take a quick, we'll take a look at your race results. First off, what am I saying? Clayton Hoffman is in first place with Kenny Powell just under 2 seconds behind in second. Chris Johnson 6 seconds back in third, which on a short track, it's about half a lap. Jeffrey Souza was 8 seconds back in fourth place. Dan Schmidt was in fifth. RJ Root's strategy worked his way up to ninth from being from sixth place to being a lap down, but couldn't get closer than 9 seconds. Matthew McMeekin was 7th place. Mark Padgett was the last driver on the lead lap in 8th. Josh Schoffer was in 9th with Brian Johnson in 10th. That will put the likes of Mark Sanders in 11th with Thomas O'Hara in 12th. From there, it's Kyle Labrie, Wayne Grossi, Jeff Barnes, Greg Wachinski, Chuck Phillips, Don Avery, Chris Pfeffer, and Corey Cook not finishing this race, along with Dave Long and Philippe Radojcic. We'll take a quick step away, and we'll be back in just another moment.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Back live with the post-race show from the Goodies 200 at North Wilkesboro Speedway. And now I'm standing by in the winner's circle with one Clayton Hoffman taking a commanding victory by 2 seconds over Kenny Powell. And Clayton, yet again, you prove why you're the short track king in the ISCA. It looked like a very easy drive for you out there.
I wouldn't say it was that easy. The first run, I got a good gap. I was able to use the clean air. It's just so hard to pass with these cars right now after this update. Once we got stuck in lap traffic, I mean, it was just whoever navigated it the best was able to make up a lot of ground. So I just got some lucky breaks there. Unfortunate for RJ and Chris Pfeffer. They both unfortunately got wrecked themselves out somehow. So yeah, I just kind of lucked into it, got the clean air, and was able to navigate the traffic pretty good.
You've extended your points lead over Kenny Powell by, I believe, about another 6 points coming out of today. I mean, that has got to be a solid run for you so far. Is it safe to say that the championship is still on your eyes here coming towards the end of the season?
Of course. It's what I come out here to race to try and do. I think I've got 3 wins this season, so the goal is always to get a win. I'm not always going to be going for those stage wins, but I'm definitely going to be trying to keep myself in at the end of the race to go for that win.
And the next time we go racing will be at the Kentucky Speedway. That's an oval we haven't seen or raced at in recent memory, and now we're going there with a brand new package as well. What do you think we can expect from that 1.5-mile cookie cutter?
They changed the package this week, so we're running the high horsepower, low downforce. Excuse me. So yeah, everything's changed as far as how the aerodynamics work. I haven't really done a ton of testing, but I know it's a lot different than Atlanta was, so it's gonna be pretty different to set up.
Well, fingers crossed you'll be able to come on out on top in Kentucky. Before we let you go, Clayton, anybody you'd like to shout out for that number 92?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out the decal on my hood, Bubba Brown. He just asked to sponsor me this race, so I put his face on the hood. Shout out to Premier Racing Setups and James Mullins. Great setup. Even after the update where some things changed, setup's really good. I don't know if it was better than RJ. He was there right neck and neck with me for a while, so he might have actually been faster than me, but I ended up being fast enough to pull out the win.
Well, thank you, Clayton, for being able to join us here tonight. Congratulations on a race win, and best of luck next week at Kentucky.
Thank you.
That was Clayton Hoffman joining us up in the broadcast booth. Going to move it on down to your runner-up on the night. Kenny Powell finishes 2 seconds down. And Kenny, it was a bit of a battle for you, really all the way throughout the top 10. You were finding yourself very up and down, but managed to find yourself on the second step after tonight's race.
Yeah, it was definitely up and down. I think the first stage went kind of as planned. Not sure, can't remember where I exactly finished there. But I felt like I was moving up the whole time. Second stage did all right. Then I had some pit problems after stage 2, which put me in the back of the pack. And I wish that hadn't happened. Maybe I'd have been closer to the front and would have had a shot at Clayton maybe at the end. But that didn't happen. I had my woes on pit road, had to drive up through the field and got second. But I'm not going to hang my hat too low on that. I'm pretty proud of that. And congrats to Clayton. He's a fast guy, hard to catch.
Well, how is it for you today? Because as we all know, this new package can be a bit tricky to drive. You have to really watch on throttle control, and what a track to learn about that the hard way more than North Wilkesboro. How was it for you overall?
It definitely iRacing threw a curveball to us because I raced the A Opens earlier this week and got me a win there. And then they changed the setup, and it was definitely more horsepower. You're a lot looser coming out the corners. It changed the brakes a little bit, and you just had to be easier on the throttle. That's kind of sums it up.
And with about 20 to 25 points or so separating yourself and Hoffman leaving today, do you think you'll be able to potentially run him down and give Hoffman a run for his money in the final races of this championship?
I'm going to keep it in mind. It's definitely a challenge for me to do so, but it is a goal that I'm going to try to obtain. See what I can do.
And before I let you go, then Kenny, anybody you'd like to shout out for your G&G 24?
Definitely James Mullins and Premier Racing Setups. They gave us the great sets to work with this week, even after the change, and it put me here. And I'd like to shout out my guys at Gas and Go Racing. They all make it worth happening.
Thank you, Kenny, for joining us tonight. Congratulations on a second place finish. Best of luck next week in Kentucky.
Thank you.
And that'll move us on down to you, Chris Johnson. You finish out the podium. Drivers 6.2 seconds behind Hoffman, but just able to keep Jeffrey Souza at bay. It looks like you and him were having a couple of really good scraps throughout the course of tonight's event.
Yeah, I was getting kind of worried towards the end. We hit heavy lap traffic, and I had the choice between racing against a teammate and possibly having Jeffrey and Dan catch back up, or just kind of hunker down. But yeah, I mean, it was a good race. Cleaner than I expected, and I am really glad we have 670 horsepower now.
And of course, speaking of 670 horsepower, I mean, it proved to be a challenge for some drivers tonight, but you made it look easy out there tonight. Package aside, what do you think some of the difficulties that came from North Wilkesboro might have been for you tonight, and how did you work to conquer them?
The tire is a little bit quirky at the moment. I know it'll snap on you, and it's all about adjusting. Even with the Gen 6 with the 700 horsepower, it had it quirks, but this is just with this next gen car, it just has a whole new level of snap to it.
And how do you think you're going to be able to manage the new package in particular? We've seen what a race is like on a short track, but what do you think it might be like come a mile and a half track like Kentucky next week?
I'm curious. From all I read, you have to lift a lot. We'll see. I haven't tested anything on a mile and a half, but I am. Let's just say I'm excited to go to a mile and a half and get this car out on the track.
Well, hopefully you'll have a solid run then here, Chris. And before we let you go, anybody you'd like to shout out for that G&G number 48?
Of course, Tucson Sound Art. They sponsor our Saturday Cup series. ButtKicker, our primary sponsor for this series, and Southern Spiral Pipe. Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson gave me a lot of pointers for tonight. Kind of guided me through it. I had very low expectations in this race tonight, but came out third, which is a plus. But of course, Kenny, y'all guys up in the booth, Nolan, Rob, and of course G&G.
And thank you, Chris, for taking the time to join us here tonight. Congratulations on a third place finish. Best of luck next week in Kentucky.
Thank you, sir.
And I'll wrap it up for the driver interviews, and that will wrap it up for our presentation here from the North Wilkesboro Speedway and the Goodies 200. And so for that, for myself, Nolan Rempel, as well as Brian Britton, unfortunately couldn't join us for the second half of this race, as well as Rob Melnick down behind the cameras. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to join us for more iRacing Stock Car Association. Join us just 2 days from now. Same venue, same lap counter, almost the same field. Couple of changes here or there, but that bound to provide the exact same good type of racing that we are oh so used to. We'll see you all next week if you're not here with us on Saturday in Sparta for round number 8.